What's going on, guys? I'm going to be sharing my outlook on the Nasdaq. This will be a quick video. All the lows that are observable on this current contract were wiped out on this monthly candle. So we had three lows close together. These were important to me. Price opened up, manipulated down, and then it pulled back up, and it's about near that April monthly open. So I do think that it's going to reprice a little bit higher. The sentiment going into the beginning of the year was bullish with Trump getting in office. Price ran against that idea, knocked out anyone that was long. And now it's pulling back up higher. And I think the sentiment now, obviously the tariff situation, there was a pause on the tariffs, but I think a lot of people are trying to get a piece of this move lower and want to fade this move up and try and target this previous low. The stops are resting above this high and this high. That's where I believe the market's going to gravitate towards next. There's a few key levels in here though. We are stuck within this range. The volume imbalance, this was an initial key level because price rejected it in this previous week over here, pulled back down. It's kind of stuck in this range. I think it's going to break above here and target this previous week's high up here and this high. Now, why these specific highs? This is an intermediate term high, which means that there's a short-term high right here and there's a short-term high right here. And the intermediate term high is in between there. So the short-term high to the left, short-term high to the right of it. This high is the monthly high of April. So if we go back to the monthly time frame, that's where we get that 20,044.25, which I believe is the first upside target for Nasdaq. And then above that, the intermediate term high, which is 20,536.75. So that's what I'm looking at on the weekly time frame. This is like the initial barrier, that volume imbalance where, yes, price is fighting it as resistance, but I do think it blasts through there and gets up to these two highs up here. On the daily, when we go back to it, you can see that we did have this little gap in price, and specifically on the 4-hour time frame, we had this large imbalance. So I'm going to mark that out. This is a 4-hour sell side imbalance, so that's where price has been wrestling within over the last 2 weeks or so. But I do think it's going to break above these because this is kind of setting the stage for the move higher. On the daily, we had a consolidation in here. Price manipulated out of that consolidation by taking out this short-term low right in here. And it's not an intermediate term low because it didn't rebalance an imbalance, or it doesn't have a short-term low to the left and right of it. But this is just a short-term low to me. And why am I pointing this out? Like, why am I even talking about this? Because this started to move up, first of all, and then these two up-close candles now become a breaker, which means there's a low, a high, a lower low, and then a higher high. Okay, so these two up-close candles, if price were to retrace, I'd anticipate these two to act as support, right? It already did trade this lower wick right here, traded into the up-close candle right here. So this area can send price above here and then eventually above here. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. And this, I'd prefer it really not come back to this. I mean, it could, but when it's really bullish like this, it's already left the consolidation. I'd rather see it respect this up close candle and then just kind of take off towards these two highs. But if it were to come back down, I'd give it some breathing room, allow it to trade within both of these. When we look at the economic calendar this week, it is a pretty big week. We do have GDP on Wednesday, so that does have my focus, but there's a lot of high impact news in here, so just be careful. But overall, really what I'm looking for is a trade up into April's monthly high at 20,044.25 and then eventually into the intermediate term high on the weekly chart. I am looking for this breaker on the daily to get supported and send price higher because it did wipe out the liquidity here. So these two up close candles can become sensitive and then send price higher. If it were to drag back down and take out this low, I would say my idea is just wrong because this low really shouldn't get traded to again if I am on side. If you guys want to see more real-time analysis from me, I do post more on my Discord, which you could check out down below. We have been tracking this thing from down here. On this candle, I was looking for price to return back into this higher gap and into this kind of range right here. And then on this candle, we were looking for price to take out these short-term highs. And I did also mention to them before that we could reach up into these levels. But that is going to be it for this video. We'll see how this thing progresses. If this breaker can hold as support and send price into these highs, we'll see, and I'll make another update soon.